All right, well, this is my calling home for missing homework story. This is like 30 years ago. I used to have it in my syllabus that if you had missing homework, that I'd make the student call home on speakerphone in front of the whole class and have that conversation with the parents about why. One, the reason I had it on speakerphone was to make sure that they actually did it. Um, Two, in front of class was, I don't know, when else are you going to do it? I mean, you want to send the kid up and have them do it. I mean, so plus there's, a little bit of um, embarrassment about that. And there wasn't a desire to do that in front of their classmates, so which helped motivate kids to get their homework done. Um, Anyways, so I'd done this for several years, and so it's like towards the end of September, hadn't had any missing homework, and this girl, third or fourth period, I remember it was the fourth row, third desk back. Um, she didn't have her homework, and I have like some problems on the board. I have a warm up for the kids to do while I'm walking up and down the aisles, checking their homework and telling them what their score is, and just writing it down on a clipboard what their grade is for homework. I never collected homework. I just looked at it real fast and told them what their grade's going to be, and gave them maybe talked to them a bit about a problem or two. Um, it's just fast, and anyway, she's like, oh, um, goes into excuse mode, which I tell my kids is like, there's no excuse for not having your homework done. I mean, your dog could die, your mom could have gotten really sick, your grandma could have died. I mean, whatever. I mean, you can have all kinds of great excuses for not having your homework, but there wasn't a good enough excuse. If you didn't have your homework, it was a zero, period. Because they had homework every day. I mean, so one missing assignment wasn't going to hurt your grade at all. And so, um, stuff happens, but, life goes on, and it's not going to, but I just had that firm policy and was able to have that my whole 34 years of teaching. Now, I think teachers have a hard time um, with that, and they should just, I think they should just, your homework's due the next day um, policy, or it's not worth anything. Anyway, she goes on to say that, oh, my mom was in the hospital last night, and so I didn't get my homework done. And I'm like, oh, well, is your mom doing all right? She's like, oh yeah, she's doing fine. I said, okay, well, go make the phone call, hit speaker button first, and then dial the number. And she's like, are you serious? I go, totally. Hit the speaker button first, and then dial your mother, and tell her you didn't have your homework done. I mean, she must know that you didn't have your homework done. It's not going to be a big deal. Um, and so she walks up there, and you could, once she hits the speaker, then you can hear the as she's dialing, and then the ringing, and kids got their heads down, and they're like supposedly working on the warm up, but everybody is not work. Nobody's working on the warm up. They're all watching the show and wondering what's going to happen. And the mom answers like after two rings, and the girl says, hi, Mom. And I tell the kids, I go, make sure you say, I'm calling from Mr. Powers' math class because I have missing homework. I mean, I told her that right before, as she's dialing, say, make sure, I'm calling from Mr. Powers' math class because I have missing homework. I want those to be the first words you come out of your room because I want them to know why, and I want them to know where they're calling from. And she says that, and the mom says, oh, are we going to go through this again this year? I am so disappointed in you. And like, I don't know if the mom had been in the hospital or not. I mean, I don't know if that was a lie or truth or whatever, but I do know that that the girl had had a hard time doing her homework in the last year, and the mom was pretty sick of it, and she was not happy to hear that she didn't have her homework done. She expected her daughter to have the homework done, whether she's in the hospital or not. She expected her daughter to have the homework done, and we all heard that. And the other thing I told the kids is don't have a long discussion. Just say, I love you, mom. I gotta go, and because we don't want to listen to this long discussion. And make sure you tell her I'm in Mr. Powers' math class. And anyway, she talks a little. And she goes on to say how disappointed she is, and that they're going to have a good talk tonight when she gets home, and this is not going to happen this year. And the mom says, okay. And the daughter says, okay, mom. She's trying to hurry up and get off the phone. She's like, okay, mom. And I'm like, tell her you love her. She's like, I love you, mom. And then she hangs up and sits down. And some of the kids are smiling. They think it's hilarious. And some of the kids are like, like kind of mortified, like, man, I don't want that to happen to me. And I'm always going to get my homework done, which is kind of the idea of having them call on speakerphone. Anyways, a few weeks pass and it's open house night. And the parents go through a short day, like just 10 minutes first period, then 5 minutes to pass, 10 minutes second period, they just go through a short day where they get to meet all their teachers. And so it's like fourth period, and I'm explaining my homework policy to the class of parents, and I was talking about this. This is the only phone call I've had so far. After 5 weeks, I've only had one missing assignment. That's how good this policy was. And I'm talking about, how this, I've only had one kid make a phone call, and I kind of point to, and she sits right here, fourth period, and I didn't say anything about, her saying the mom was in the hospital, and the mom was awesome. She just said that, she was disappointed in her daughter and that she was going to talk to her that night, and she, was not going to have a problem to getting her homework done this year. And then hung up, and the mom was just kind of sitting there, and as I'm saying this, and all of a sudden I just kind of get this weird look, and she kind of looks she looks up at me, and she kind of raises her hand, and I go, yes. She goes, that was me. And kind of sheepishly, and I was like, I just walked. I wanted to give her a hug, but I just stepped up and I stuck my hand out, and she took and I shook her hand. I go, you were awesome, Mom. That was a perfect response to your daughter. You were perfect. That was, you just nailed it. Way to go, Mom. And I said, it's just, stuff comes up. People aren't going to have their homework done sometimes. And if they're sick, they get like 2 days. They get 2 extra days to get their homework in or whatever. But that's it. I mean, if you don't have your homework the next day, it's a 0. And moving on. And if they copied homework, I threw it away. If and the person they're copying from, they both got 0s. You can't copy. You got to do the homework yourself. Wipe your own nose. Yeah. Anyways, so it was like, I don't know, I'd done that for, not my whole career, but I'd done that for like 5 or 6 years. This is in the 2000s. This wasn't like in the 1990s. This was in the 2000s, like, maybe like 20 years ago. So, like 2005 or 10 or somewhere in that range. And the principal, comes in my classroom, like, and this happened like a few years later, after doing this for 6 or 7 years or so. The principal's changed. I kept getting different principals every few years. This principal comes in and says, Miss Power, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. She goes, do you have a policy where the kids call home on speakerphone if they have missing homework? I'm like, yeah. And the principals sign. I have to, at the beginning of the year, you have to give your principal a copy of your syllabus for your classes, and for the principal to sign that they, agree with your syllabus. And I go, you signed it. She's like, I did? I mean, I go, I gave it to you. I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years. And she's like, she goes, okay, well, obviously she didn't read it. And she goes, well, all right, well, never mind that. But she goes, I had 3 phone calls this morning, and they're all about your homework for you and about your homework policy. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, I'm just playing dumb. Because I'm kind of waiting to be told they can't do this. I mean, because all the other math teachers are just like incredulous. They can't believe it. Any teacher who heard, who would hear about what I was doing is like, I can't believe your principal let you do that. I mean, after that mom incident, we had it was like a month or 2 later, we had a day off from the kids, and we had this math district-wide meeting, and I had different math teachers coming up to me asking me about my homework policy and making kids call on speakerphone, because it had the kids were it had spread from school to school. I mean, kids were talking about it, parents were talking about it, and math teachers are hearing about it, and I had developed a little bit of a reputation among the other math teachers. They're asking me, how do you get away with that? It's like, it's in my syllabus, and I've done it for years, and and I tell them, I say, make sure you're calling from Mr. Powers' class, and you don't want it to be a long conversation. Say, I love you, Mom, and I'll talk to you when I get home. You don't want to have a long conversation with your mom or dad, whoever you're calling. And anyways, so yeah, the principal's talking to me, and she's like, the first parent called up and said, it's embarrassing to my child to have them call. And I'm like, well, it's only embarrassing because they don't have their homework done. If they do their homework, they don't have to make the phone call. And the principal's kind of like, okay. And then she lets that one go. And then I can't remember the other one. It was like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing my daughter. And, we're having this long conversation in front of the class. And I told the principal, I was like, the parent is the one who is embarrassing their daughter. It's like, and I make sure the kids say, I'm calling from Mr. Powers' class. And how can the parent call and complain to you that their child's being embarrassed when they're the one who is embarrassing their kid? They're the one who just say, okay, honey, I'll talk to you when I get home. When you get home, and the principal's like, yeah. And then the third one, she goes, okay, the third phone call was this parent who said, I'm concerned my kid's going to listen to some parent swear at their kid, And I'm like, oh, hadn't happened yet, but it's like, oh. I said, well, that hasn't happened, but yeah, I guess that sure could happen. And she said, well, why don't, and so then I said, well, how about after they start the conversation? I realized, because I said, I want to make sure that they're actually calling. I want to make sure it's actually a parent that they're talking to, not some brother or sister or someone. And I said, how about after, I know that they're talking to their mom or dad, that I tell them they can hit the speakerphone, and so we can't hear the conversation anymore. And the principal was like, okay. And so that was my policy after that once it was established that it was mom or dad talking to the kid, that they could turn the speakerphone off and finish the conversation, which wasn't nearly as enjoyable to listen to. Or it still was effective, but way more effective to have the class listen to the whole conversation. Anyways, that was my, I thought, very effective policy most of my career of having kids call home on speakerphone.